Janet Yellen, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve Board, made a speech in 2016 where she kind of asked for macroeconomists to look into some new questions based upon the experiences of what happened after the financial crisis and the long recession that set in after that. And what she asked for was whether there were situations in which what is called heterogeneity, so differences across different players and different households in the economy, where they may matter for how the economy recovers after recession, how it fluctuates over time. So in the research I've done for ADEMU, we have looked exactly at models in which this heterogeneity differences across players in the economy, in which that matters, in which there's important links between the demand side and supply side of the economy. So what we have in mind is that we all face risks in our daily life, but one thing that's particularly important for the economy is, of course, that all of us face risk that we may lose our job, or we may get a pay rise, or we could also get a pay cut. What happens here is that in settings where individuals face such unemployment, is that that impacts on the behavior of people that have jobs. So suppose I have a job, and now I see unemployment rising. And I know when unemployment is rising, if I should lose my job, then it will be quite difficult for me to find a new job. And what I mean by that is that if I perceive there's a higher likelihood that I'm going to lose my job, then it presumably would be a good idea for me to start saving more of my income just in case I did lose my job. And what that translates into is what we call a contraction in demand. Firms perceive now that there's less demand for their goods, and therefore they hire fewer workers. And when firms hire fewer workers, then of course unemployment will go up even more. How should we respond to these crises? In situations where interest rates are low, as we've seen in many economies and in the euro area for very long periods of time, the standard literature that is around really says that the way you should try and handle those situations is either through fiscal spending. So if the government starts spending more, that may stimulate the economy. You can also try and do things like forward guidance. So forward guidance refers to signaling about further interest rate decisions of the central bank. So basically try and stimulate the economy by signaling that in the future you will be aggressive. But one thing you should not do is to carry out the supply side reform. And what I mean by supply side reform could be thinking about trying to improve productivity. When you stimulate the economy that way, you also remove part of the reason why people are saving so much, because you see if unemployment starts now dropping, that will stimulate demand and start pulling the economy out of recessions. And then it depends on the policy response and kind of on the flexibility of labor markets. In situations in which people worry a lot about what the bad things that can happen to them should they lose their job, then frictions that prevent wages or prices from adjusting, they become extra important, and that motivates an extra need for policymakers to stabilize expectations about bad outcomes in those situations. So essentially, what that says is that ECB and other central banks, they should be extra aggressive in environments where either when there's a combination of workers and households worrying about losing their jobs and frictions to prevent prices and wages from adjusting.